This is Anne from the Music Discovery Shop. In this video, I'll be showing you the Barnyard Friends digital teaching aid for teaching and practicing the landmark notes on the grand staff. When my beginning piano students are ready to learn notes on the staff, I like to use landmark or guide notes. Many years ago, I created the Barnyard Friends, a group of characters that give students a playful and memorable strategy for recognizing their landmark notes. Maybe you have watched the Barnyard Friends videos on YouTube. They have had thousands of views over the years. So I'll link those videos up in the cards above and also in the description below. It's fun to watch those videos with your students and then follow through with those concepts using a teaching aid. When you purchase the Barnyard Friends from my shop, you'll receive a link to the download, which is just a PDF. It's very colorful, so it's not intended for printing. I've designed it to be used on a tablet. All you need is an app that will read and allow you to mark up a PDF. I'm using my 12.9-inch iPad Pro with my Apple Pencil, and the app that I'm using is called NoteShelf 2. I'll put the link down below in the video description just in case you'd like to check that out. So let's take a closer look. This resource has 25 pages of activities, so you probably won't use the whole thing in one lesson. So I've done a few special things to make it easier for you to navigate the pages and keep track of what you've done. When we click to the very second page in the resource, I have a whole page of quick links. So you can click on any one of these links to navigate quickly to a specific page. So you want to work on your bass C? Let's click there, and we hop directly to that page. So it's really quick and easy for you to get around. Down in the corner is the home button, and that will take you right back to your quick links page. Now in NoteShelf 2, you can also navigate the pages by tapping on the thumbnail sidebar, and you can click on any one of these thumbnails to go to a particular page. Let's go back to the quick links. Great. Now why don't we take a good look at each of the pages in the resource so you can see if this is a good fit for you and your studio. The first video that you watch on YouTube is called Gina and the Treble Clef. And so here's Gina. In the video, she shows students how to draw a treble clef, and then you can come here so they can practice. And all you need to do is grab your pen tool. There we go, we've got it. And they can draw right on this file. They're going to trace. Often I have them trace their clefs and notes, and sometimes they'll be drawing freehand. And in the second video, which is up in the cards, you will meet Farmer Fred, and he shows students how to draw the bass clef. And so right here, they can come and practice drawing that bass clef. And of course, the beauty with doing it on the iPad is you can easily erase that page and do it again. You can do this over and over again with the same student or with multiple students. It's a wonderful resource that saves on paper and printing. Now, before we get into learning the guide notes on the staff, it's important that students recognize line notes and space notes. So here they will just simply practice drawing line note number 1, line note number 2, and so on. And we learn them by counting up the lines and then counting up the spaces. So this is important for guide note reading, that they're able to identify which number the space or the line will be. This is a level up page where they are asked to draw a specific line or space note to see if they've really got this concept. So they'll be drawing line number 1 and space note number 1 and so on. Now we start to move into the landmark notes, starting with G for Gina. And in the video, they'll have learned that Gina is on line number 2. She comes out of her treble clef tree house and walks along her line. It says 2 is my favorite number, and so that's a question that I ask my beginners all the time. What is Gina's favorite number? And so they memorize that her number is 2, so that they can go and draw G for Gina on line number 2. I think that the font size is really nice for young students. I've tested this with my 5 and 6-year-olds, and they do a really good job of tracing and drawing the notes and letters right here on the iPad. And then, of course, we have Cece the cat, who they learn to recognize because middle C has whiskers, just like Cece the cat's lovely long whiskers. We move on to the bass clef, where they'll practice Farmer Fred's favorite note, which is on line number 4. And again, Cece the cat for the bass clef. Now they have a chance to draw all 3 of their landmark notes, and I've given them a keyboard reference to make sure that they're understanding how to find their middle C right in the middle of things, with Gina in the treble staff on the higher side of the piano, and Farmer Fred down below in the bass staff with the lower sounds. Now we're going to use middle C as the reference and learn to step up the 5 notes of a C5 finger scale. So they'll practice drawing C, D, E, F, G, and then tracing those notes in the treble clef, and also finding them down on the keyboard as well, thinking always about starting with Cece the cat's middle C and working their way on up to G for Gina. Here we can add another friend to help them identify and recognize D. Now we learned that D is for Drooper the dog, who likes to hang around at the barn just the same way that D hangs from the first line in the treble clef. They'll practice recognizing and drawing middle C and D. Notice that up in the corners I've put the page numbers, and this is because you will probably only be using 2 or 3 pages in a lesson, and I want you to be able to very quickly and easily make notes in your personal lesson plan about the pages that you've covered to make it easier to pick up and review and add on each week. And then back to our resource here where they'll be practicing naming those notes. They're all mixed up this time, but it's still the same C, D, E, F, and G that they had just been practicing. And then for a little reinforcement, they'll be naming the yellow keys on the keyboard. Next, we'll be stepping up from F. Now I know it's very common to work from middle C and step down, but going backwards on the music alphabet is a little bit challenging. Now if you think about it, you've probably started these young students recognizing that under the 3 black keys, they will always find F, G, A, B. So they've chanted this series of letter names many, many times. F, G, A, B. So I think it makes sense to start with Farmer Fred's F and step up those letter names, F, G, A, B, and arriving at C for Cece the cat. So this is how I'm introducing the 5 notes below middle C. Then we meet Buddy the Bluebird, who sits on the top line of the bass clef, just the same way that a bluebird can fly down and sit on the fence. So B and D for Drooper the dog are very helpful strategies because it is easy to mix up the treble D and the bass clef B, as I'm sure you know. Then we have a little review where students will identify and practice naming those 5 notes, and again some reinforcement for naming the white key names on the piano. And what's my favorite number? Asked Farmer Fred. Number 4, of course. Now we'll meet the chick for treble C, and the chick says space 3 treble C, so they count up 3 space notes, 1, 2, 3, to draw the treble C or the high C for the chick. And again, as a little bit of reinforcement, they will be drawing all of the letters of the music alphabet, moving up 2 sets of music alphabets, so they understand the concept of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Begin again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now they'll work on smaller stepping up patterns and stepping down patterns. So with their pen or pencil, they will fill in the missing letter names, C, D, E, F. And this is a preview of what's to come in a few pages. Well, they'll be stepping up the notes, C, D, E, F, and then working downwards, C, B, A, G, which is definitely a more difficult concept. And then with D given, they'll quickly realize that I've just repeated the first pattern, C, D, E, F, and so on. On this page, we also meet Clara the cow. And the beautiful thing about Clara the cow is you can reuse that very famous mnemonic, all cows eat grass. And Clara the cow's low C or base C is on the very same C as cows. So they'll practice counting 1, 2 in the bass clef and drawing their base C. And copying the letters too, of course. Now we'll look at all 3 C's, and I like to make sure that they're understanding this concept in relation to a keyboard. So we have the middle C for Cece the cat. We have the treble C for the chick, space 3 treble C. And we have the bass C for Clara the cow, all cows eat grass. And here's the page where we will be stepping up C, D, E, F from each of the different C's. So if we start on bass C for Clara the cow, and we go space note, line note, space note, line note, then they'll have their C, D, E, F. So we're working on starting to read notes by interval or by direction, using landmarks as their starting point. This is the same idea, but stepping down, which is a little bit more challenging. So again, we're starting with a C, bass C for Clara the cow. And when we work downwards, when we work backwards, we're still going space note, line note, space note, line note. Then we can discover that skips have some very special patterns. In the bass clef, when we skip up the spaces, that gives us our all cows eat grass. So Clara the cow likes to chant that little mnemonic, all cows eat grass, and that can become a very handy strategy for recognizing space notes in the bass clef. To bring it down to the keyboard, to help students understand that when they move from space note to space note, they are skipping up the keyboard. This is an important concept. Then when we look at the space notes in the treble clef, they discover that it spells the word face, F-A-C-E, and Gina will chant that reminder to them. Now they're going to practice. These are all space notes. They are going to use their 2 new tricks to go through and name each of these notes in the boxes. And as a little reinforcement, they'll come down and discover that the yellow keys spell the word face. Here's a review of all of their Barnyard Friends now. So they'll trace and also tell me who they are drawing. So I might ask them, I might say, draw Cece the cat's note. This is to make sure that they know which one is which. Trace Drooper's note, and we'll know, they'll tell me that that is for D. D is for Drooper. Where's the chick? Space 3, high C, and so on. And again, we relate that to the keyboard, so they're understanding the concept of middle, high, or middle treble, and bass. And here's one of our last pages. Well, they'll be naming all of the landmark notes. These are just landmarks, so I want them to identify these by thinking about which barnyard friend. So of course, line 2, who loves line number 2 the very best? Well, that's G for Gina, of course. And who has their very own whiskers in the note? Well, that's Cece the cat, of course. So these are just Barnyard landmark reviews. And then as the last page, I included a blank staff and keyboard, so you can use that however you might like to in your lesson. Maybe you'll practice drawing line notes and space notes. Maybe you'll draw specific notes and ask your student to find them on the keyboard. That's really up to you and your imagination. And you did it! A quick like on this video will really help music discoveries grow on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.